Good day, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar about MongoDB for modern data management. And I'm very thrilled to have you all here with us. I am Michelle, Data Solutions Product Manager at Canonical. I'm actually also very thrilled to call our co-host for today, which is Rob Chibon. And I've been working with him in different data solutions projects. So I'm going to call him in the stage now. Hi, Rob.
Hey there.
Hi, everyone. And yeah, Rob is our big data solutions product manager here at Canonical. Um, Rob, of course, has a wealth of experience and expertise in different data solutions, working in IT consulting, big data, had a couple of leadership roles as a product manager, solution architect for many years. And I'm very happy to have you here, Rob.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so just a quick question, Rob. How excited are you in this webinar? And do you find the whole modern data management discussion interesting?
Sure, I'm 10 out of 10 for excitement. I'm thrilled to be here. It's going to be good. Let's get started.
Yeah, I'm also very excited about our announcement in the latter part, especially for the projects we worked hard for. So, yeah. For the agenda for today is about, of course, modern data management. Why, what, how, why people actually and enterprises needs it. MongoDB capabilities to actually thrive and empower enterprises from small, big to large enterprises on their database capabilities. So their whole data management strategies can be better. And to deep dive into different industry use cases. And last but not least, talk about the project that Rob and I has been working on for a while called the Charm MongoDB. But let's park that because we wanted to discuss more about those, things prior. So if you have any webinar questions, please comment on our LinkedIn event, also in our Bright Talk event. And you can also get in touch with our experts with this QR code that will redirect to our website. And, you can ask anything. Let's start with our topic. Our topic is, of course, about modern data management. And before we actually deep dive on the definition what modern data management is, it's actually nice to just, step back and talk about industry insights, where we are coming from, and why modern data management is currently needed right now. So we're going to give you a couple of numbers. So according to Gartner, the worldwide enterprise IT spend is actually 3.5 trillion US dollars in 2023, and it even expected to grow 8.4% of a compounding annual growth rate until 2027. And it expands to multiple industries, from utilities, healthcare, insurances, finance, education, government. It's like really massive IT spend. And excluding the whole AI and ML market size and all, I just wanted to quickly share the whole global big data market size. So in 2023, it's 349 US dollars in billions, while in 2032, it's expected to grow to 1.19 trillion US dollars. So it's really, really massive. And as I mentioned, it's even excluding the whole AI and ML story, which is a lot bigger, where the whole, modern data management is accounted as one of the key factor that can make the whole AI and an ML thrive in the future as well. So, Rob, we have mentioned a while ago that you've been working in the data space for many years now and really have this seniority and experience. So I'm just wondering on your side, like, what was the trend that you actually saw and noticed in the past, and how do you see the trend in this like whole big data topic in the future?
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. I think what I've noticed over time is a big shift to the cloud. which is driven primarily by people wanting to reduce their costs. So you've thrown up some pretty big numbers there. A lot of organizations are looking at ways to optimize cost. One way being, using cloud services rather than running your own data center. That's perceived at least as being a way to reduce cost. But really, there's been a drive to more flexibility, more cost reduction, and more efficiency. That's what I've seen.
Yeah, it's actually really, really apparent, like, people from transitioning from, on-premise private cloud to also public cloud, which actually in the whole data space, for example, database management, right? A lot are in public cloud that we have also noticed. So it's actually really one of these key trends that enables this whole data, AI, ML as well to thrive. So yeah, for modern data management, talking about the whole market share and the need of a lot of organizations as they spend a lot of, chunk of their budget to making their whole infrastructure and applications be better. A modern database or like a modern data management is actually needed. But what is a modern data management as we speak, right? So a modern data management is actually strategies, technologies, and practices used by different organizations to collect, store, organize, and analyze data in this years of digital age, So there are different varieties and approaches to handle this as data grows over time. There's also different data varieties. There's also velocity on how the data is being generated by organizations and even just an individual, right? So those needs strategies and practices and technologies. So the strategies and practices can be a set of principles and methodologies such as data governance, data quality, integration, and interoperability. While technologies are those platforms or, just innovation that is designed to store, process, analyze, derive insights from different data in multiple forms. Example of that are databases, data warehouses, data lakes, big data processing framework, different visualization tools, or even AI and ML tools as we progress. So those are those things that are important for the modern data management. So yeah, we start with the first part, which is strategies and practices. And there are multiple things that we have to look at when we say strategies and practices for modern data management. It can be data governance, data quality, integration and interoperability, data security, data privacy, data ops or data operations, data culture and literacy, and data technologies. Rob, would you like to share more insights about those first four at the top?
Excuse me, I got a little bit of a dry mouth. So data governance is, it's about establishing best practices for quality, security, and procedural operations around your data. Data quality in itself is a deep domain of ensuring the integrity and timeliness of the data, for example, amongst other attributes of quality. Integration and operability, well, making sure that your data can be consumed in a standardized way, for example, through APIs, developing APIs, and exposing your data in a managed way. Whilst data security is around, preventing unauthorized access to data, whether that's by your own staff or by external parties that shouldn't have access.
I kind of want to complement the data security with data privacy as well, as we talk about, ensuring that all the data that is collected, stored is actually compliant with laws and regulations, such as, for example, GDPR here in Europe. Data ops is the data operations, making sure that the end-to-end process as the data is created, stored, retrieved, are, in the best quality, but at the same time, it has a specific implementation that you can actually get those in, like, fast, but at the same time in a reliable way. Data culture and literacy is, I think, something that all of the companies trying to get to a point that everyone in the organization has this own data culture and everyone talks more with data, and it's more, I can see that it's more kind of like promotion and awareness and collaboration within an organization to make sure that company organize themselves based on data driven way or data driven decision making. And then last is the data technology, which is the leverage of different innovations to unlock the full potential of the whole modern data management landscape. And I wanted to kind of deep dive more on those data technologies. And Rob, you've been working a lot to almost all of it. If not, it's actually all. So I can talk more about the first four, which is SQL, NoSQL, streaming, and search. These are data technologies that are more kind of like a foundational and, has been there for quite a while. Like, for example, relational database. I don't know if you know MySQL, Postgres. These are like, open source database management that can do a lot of ACID transactions and different query capabilities that makes it easier for people to use, store, retrieve data. NoSQL databases, which is came right, like not specifically right after relational database, but not also very recently. But some example are MongoDB, OpenSearch, Redis. These are those types of database that handles large volume of unstructured and semi-structured data, and design in a way that it's more flexible, scalable, and try to fill in those gaps that relational database cannot do. But don't get me wrong, sometimes relational database also try to make a lot of features that can be easily scalable or highly available. Next is the streaming data platforms like Kafka, for example, which supports different event-driven architecture, real-time analytics, data integration. I think you can see that because of the rise of the whole IoT, Internet of Things. In the space, you can always hear that. And these type of data technologies is really, really helpful to process those real-time, near real-time data processing. Fourth one is search engine. With a world full of data, you have to really make sure that there's a really fast and easy way to retrieve, process, store information from, bunch of information out there in the internet, in your internal organization's database. And to be able to do that, there are multiple search engines and these tools that you can use, and they're very essential. Now we'll go to big data and the rest, which Rob has so much expertise on.
Sure. So big data refers to technologies that can scale to process, store and process very large data sets. So we're talking, up to a few petabytes even of data, which means that there's not one server running the data processing, but many servers working together in parallel in a distributed manner. So typically that historically has been using technologies like Apache Hadoop, although over time that's moved towards more using modern cluster management systems like Kubernetes with solutions like Spark on the top. Excuse me. So data warehousing and data lake can refer to either like more classical data warehousing on a relational database like Postgres, or it can refer to building a data warehouse on a big data platform, so a data lake or a lake house, where you're using something like Spark to run SQL queries over very, very large data sets. Typically with data warehousing, the purpose is different to online transaction processing. So the purpose with a data warehouse is to provide a vehicle for analytics and for reporting. So generally you write data to a data warehouse and you don't update it. It stays there in its verbatim form. There may be post-processing you do to make it easier to analyze and query that data, but generally the data stays like as it was on the day it was written. So that's really what a data warehouse is about. Analytics and reporting, well, as mentioned, you enable that through a data warehouse, but you use different tooling. So you may use something like StreamSets, which is another open source reporting tool for users to build visual queries, visual analytics, reports and dashboards, and that's what that's about, really.
Thank you so much, Rob. I think there's really a lot of data technologies out there, and I believe we just covered a couple of them. Is more kind of like more popular use cases, right? But with the rise of the whole AI and ML, more and more comes into pictures, such as vector database, for example, for large language models. And you will see more of these as we progress. I mean, you don't even know sometimes what will come up there, right? You will just be very surprised. But for today, at least, we wanted to talk more about the NoSQL database and the database, which is MongoDB, where I wanted to just really quickly highlight because, MongoDB is the #1 non-relational database out there according to Database Engine, which is an initiative that collects and presents information about database management system. And MongoDB has been a popular database that has been used by multiple enterprises from different sizes. So what actually MongoDB is, it's a very versatile and a data management solution. It provides powerful capabilities for scaling, consistency, fault tolerance. It has an agility and flexibility to actually run big data. Example of that are a couple of IoT use case or just running your own web and mobile applications. And that's so it is really very capable to facilitate rapid development and making sure that, as an enterprise or even an individual user, you will experience a low downtime as you use the technology itself. It has multiple database model, but one of it that is very apparent, and the reason why it's being chosen is because it's a document database. It has ways to actually store data in a document format, which is flexible and has what we call hierarchical data structure. And this document can have multiple fields, and also, of course, still being able to create way to collect those information in more like a schema-less data model. In that way, it's actually easier to scale it, maintain it, and make sure that the database is actually highly scalable and highly available. The other data models are, of course, the geospatial, the time series. It also has vector database capabilities, but these are all like secondary data model that MongoDB offers. Also, it can cater multiple use cases because of these, database capabilities, and we will also feature more of those features that MongoDB has. But Rob, would you like to carry more and speak more about the use cases of MongoDB for enterprises?
Sure. So one of the most popular use cases is for building web applications. So MongoDB, it allows you to build very rapidly because of its, document schema model. So, you can basically take JSON, so JavaScript object notation from your web application and write it straight into the database. There's no relational data model as such. As Michelle mentioned, it's a nested hierarchy. So that makes it very easy to persist basically the objects that you have in your web application directly into the database. That's the whole thinking behind MongoDB, in fact. So that's one use case. Mobile applications is another very similar use case. So again, using the same kind of persisting the object model of the application directly into the database. It makes a natural fit for MongoDB, and therefore it's incredibly popular in both of those domains as a back-end system. Internet of Things, again, using time series data coming from an Internet of Things device and persisting it into a MongoDB for further processing. Again, Internet of Things, it's very popular to communicate data in JSON, so it makes sense there too. Analytics, it can do it, so it has capabilities to run, for example, MapReduce jobs as a kind of a synchronous processing architecture to do analytics on your operational data store. Payment processing as well. So MongoDB is transactional, has been for a long time now. So it has the transactional integrity that you need in order to do financial processing. Content management, again, is a kind of a web use case for building and managing and maintaining content, like web content. And again, MongoDB can really shine at that. As a product catalog, again, it has the kind of nested hierarchy is quite useful in building product catalogs as well. So again, that can be a great use case for MongoDB. And lastly, as a kind of retrievable, augmented, generative solution for AI/ML, it can be, RAG. I don't know if the viewers know that, but so this is a way to make AI models perform better. MongoDB can be used for that too. So it can help that too.
Thank you so much, Rob. So we've discussed how powerful MongoDB is in terms of having multiple database models that can actually feature multiple enterprise use case. And to add on top of that, with the whole modern database data management discussion that we have, MongoDB is a choice because of these features that it's actually really strong at. So Rob, would you like to tackle the first four? I think it's the most exciting features of MongoDB.
Okay, I'll try. So database technology, yeah, I mean, it's a very cutting edge database actually in many ways. So the system, it supports sharding and replication. So these are two critical features for scaling your database deployment to go large. So what sharding is the ability to split a data set, so one set of data, across multiple servers, so that there's even distribution of load across those servers, so that you can have more connections, so many hundreds or thousands or even millions of connections to the database are served by multiple servers. In order to scale that further, replication allows you to have multiple servers serving the same data set, so that you can have the data distributed across multiple shards, and each of those shards is composed of maybe 3 or 5 servers in order to increase the amount of load that can be handled. So the thing can handle huge amounts of load as a result, as well as very big data sets. So schema design, as mentioned, it's kind of schemaless, right? So MongoDB's document model is essentially it's schemaless. So you can have incredible flexibility in terms of how you store your data. There's no predefined schema, so things can evolve over time, which can be a good and a bad thing, but generally is perceived as being pretty good, pretty useful in many ways. For integration and interoperability, what we're talking about here is the ability to integrate, MongoDB into your enterprise environment. So, integration with authentication systems, integration with other applications, for example, auditing systems or logging systems, monitoring systems. Scalability and flexibility, I think I already kind of covered that in the first database technology section, so I won't go over that again. So back to you, Michelle.
Yeah, I think the whole scalability and flexibility is really the strong point, as Rob mentioned, with the sharding. And we'll give more examples of that later for the industry use case. Then I can proceed with the data security or the database security itself. Of course, it can be really possible. I mean, there's so many research and news you can see where there's a lot of data breaches or unauthorized access of information, right? And MongoDB is quite new to its data security implementation with authentication authorization, the network encryptions that it has, audit logging to make sure that, It will be able to log and see and observe what's happening with your information and data, and many more. Another example is just the whole benchmarking guide out there in the market, which helps people to make sure that everyone is compliant, but at the same time can set up MongoDB in a more secure and reliable way. And we'll deep dive on that later. Second, no, that is second. Second for me, the sixth point is the performance, which is, MongoDB is known to be high performant with its read and write operations. Also related to what Rob has mentioned with the scalability part, making it suitable for multiple use cases such as real-time analytics. Community and ecosystem. It has a large and active community all over the world. And at the same time, the whole integration and interoperability story as well is quite interrelated to this, because MongoDB by itself cannot run by itself alone, but it has the whole ecosystem of making sure that it can easily, integrate it, but at the same time, you can use it for multiple use cases. Last but not the least is data ops. There are different projects, methods, practices out there that people can use and be guided so that they can operate MongoDB in multiple environments, whether it's in test, production, pre-production, for example. But it's just making sure that, the whole operations and also development or the use of the technology itself are streamlined in a way that there is a good development life cycle. You can automate the processes, and data and operation, like data or dev or database admin team, can better work with the operations team to have low downtime as you run this specific application. So yeah, I think those are the really strong point and package why MongoDB is actually the right choice for you for modern data management. And we discussed so much about the strengths of MongoDB, and it would be really nice if we can talk about different industry use cases. So we can talk about first with telco. So I'll share a use case and then how MongoDB is the right fit for this solution, and then we will highlight those features that makes it right fit for a specific use case. So first is the telco, where the use case is, of course, with the whole telecommunication all over the world and different telco organizations and enterprises, right? They do process vast amount of data from network to inventory management. It does require a lot of storage management and analysis of this information. MongoDB, for example, has a very good feature of making sure that you can store, retrieve, and process big amount of data. And also because of its scaling capability, it facilitates making sure that the whole compute and storage resources for this large and structured data is being catered. I kind of wanted to highlight one of the features you mentioned, Rob, with the schema design. You mentioned a while ago some sort of like this JSON BSON format of MongoDB, and I think that actually contributes a lot of MongoDB becoming highly available and being able to process multiple or vast amount of information. Can you expand more on that?
Sure. So the JSON schema. So JavaScript object notation is a very simple way to represent an object, like a computer object in a standardized format. It's extremely flexible, but it's also, it's the natural language of MongoDB. Everything that you do in MongoDB is essentially done using that JSON notation. So it's become a kind of industry standard. In many ways, it's an interoperability standard as well. So in terms, it's funny because when you look back at the SQL relational databases of the current day as well as the past, they focus on standards of interoperability based on SQL, so the language that you talk in order to communicate with the database and interrogate it, structured query language SQL. MongoDB doesn't use SQL, but it does have interoperability of its own in the form of JSON. So JSON being such a ubiquitous standard these days.
Yeah, I've seen so much of that, and I think the whole point of having that is that you can just easily store and retrieve those types of data formats, and it's very powerful. And I think the whole point that you kind of reduce the latency of how you retrieve the information and process it, but at the same time you don't compromise to the data quality because the information is still structured in a way that people can read and process and use it for multiple use cases that they wanted. I think that's one of the strong point
It's also
of
self-document.
MongoDB.
It's another value of it. The schema is together with the data, so you can understand the data directly in line. If you want to read, a record from MongoDB, each of the fields is prefixed with what it is, what the name of the field. So that can help as well in terms of ease of adoption, ease of understanding, ease of use. So
Yeah, I do agree. So that's why I'm also very excited with the second one, which is actually automotive, which one of example use case is actually fleet management. Usually on those use cases such as fleet management, they needed a database that can store and retrieve information in more kind of like a batch or real time. So now we talk about like, huge amount of data, but at the same time requiring a real-time solution. And I've seen that so many times as I work with in an industry where they actually do manage the multiple fleets, and you know in the strive for multiple organizations to have predictive analytics implemented, so that you can make sure that your fleet will not break down. You're more kind of like proactive before it happens. Real-time information is really needed. And MongoDB is actually one of those database that can store and retrieve information in real time and also in batch. It can also maintain logs and generate maintenance reports, for example, or schedules for fleet management. And Rob already mentioned things about sharding a while ago, and I think that's one of those features that MongoDB has, that that it can just easily scale horizontally, which means you can just add servers as you need it, and it has automations that makes it easier for you to do that scaling. And yeah, it does fit to this time where you actually need a database that should be able to do those agility and at the same time automations to be able to scale your database as soon as you need it. So yeah, I think that the whole sharding feature of MongoDB is very, very powerful. And then we have the third use case, which is finance, which is a fraud detection, is what we feature here. It's about, as financial services process this huge amount of information that needs to be secured and privately processed. We've also noticed a lot of, fraudulent activities across this sector. Like according to actually a study for multiple financial institution in the US alone, the value of card fraud was evaluated, at least in 2021, as like 12 billion US dollars, and has been consistently increasing in the last 10 years. And if you think about it, it's a pretty large use case that financial sector has been really trying to solve and still struggling. And for MongoDB solution, it has capabilities on making sure that it can, of course, support the fraud detection activities, being a database that can be used, but at the same time, it can easily also integrate in multiple different tools, which the whole predictive analytics part of AI and ML is covering. Rob, would you like to quickly share more about the data security on MongoDB itself?
yeah, so there's so MongoDB has authentication. It has wire encryption. So this is like encrypted communication between the user of the database or the application connected to the database and the database itself, so that there's privacy between the parties communicating. It has audit logging as well, so that there's a system of record that accounts for who's accessed what. So another aspect of this is the CIS hardening. I think you mentioned this a little bit earlier, Michelle. So this is the Center for Internet Security, which is kind of the standard for providing, one of the most popular anyway, standards for providing guidance for securing applications, many different applications. But MongoDB is one of those applications that they have patterns for. So they provide a benchmark, so a hardening script that you can step through to make your MongoDB solution secure.
Thank you, Rob. Actually, at Canonical, we published a white paper that just mainly talks about MongoDB security and support, and I'll put the link in the LinkedIn event or Bright Talk for you to have more access on that. And it's a very comprehensive list of MongoDB security as a feature that can fit to different industries and use cases. And yes, I also just wanted to mention that MongoDB can be used in public sector, health services, retail, logistics, industrial, and other industries out there. It all depends on the use case you wanted to use it. And there are also multiple companies that actually offers enterprise-grade solution for MongoDB solution. And I'm actually very glad to share that Canonical, we are doing that. And we're even making sure that the community get involved on the creation of it. And Rob and I is very, very delighted to share that, we have what we call Charmed MongoDB. And of course, we believe that it's the database you need for your modern data management system. Would you like to do the announcement, Rob, before I move to the next slide?
Sure. So we're releasing Charmed MongoDB. This is a solution that includes the MongoDB software as well as automation around MongoDB to make your life easier. So you get a fully supported solution from Canonical.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's generally available today. So in this webinar, we're just very glad to announce that because we've been looking forward to share that. And we did have beta release a few months ago, and it's been very, very nice. And we've had so much lessons learned out there. And today is just the day to actually really announce to everyone that it's generally available. So we really encourage you to try it out. I don't have those clapping audio. I could have had prepared for that. But anyway, what is Charm MongoDB? As Rob mentioned, it's secure, and we can secure and automate your deployment, maintenance, and upgrades for your MongoDB on any cloud, and making sure that all the functionalities that we mentioned a while ago with what MongoDB is and how it can help your data management to become more modern, more robust, more scalable, more highly available, and that you don't need to worry about your day-to-day operations of your MongoDB and focus on making value out of your data. That's why Charm MongoDB is here for you. And yeah, I think I really wanted to really fully highlight these three things that we were saying that is high value for you, for people who will be using MongoDB with Charmed MongoDB. And these are the key three things. It's hyper automated MongoDB that is available in any cloud. What do we mean by that? You can actually use what we call our operator that deploys and run MongoDB in virtual machine or your physical server, in public private cloud, in AWS, Azure, OpenStack, or even VMware. So I'm just giving a couple of examples. And hyper automated in a way that we actually have automation features that simplifies from deployment, scaling, design, management, and we wanted to ensure reliability when you use MongoDB in your production environment. And of course, we have different security features, backup restore, sharding, as we mentioned a while ago, audit logging, user management, things that you needed to run your MongoDB in your production environment. The second
It's
part
important,
is,
yeah. I wanted to mention before we go further, it's important to know that this is MongoDB that you can run in your own cloud environment. So this is not a hosted service from Canonical, but a service that you run yourself. So it gives you tremendous flexibility.
yes, thank you so much, Rob, for sharing that. And that thinking that you can actually run it in your own environment and you know that you're supported by this technology, what we also assure to you is that it's secured and supported for 10 years. What do we mean by security for 10 years, Rob?
So it means that you get coverage for critical and high severity security CVEs for 10 years on the software release. So when we release the software, the clock starts ticking, and for the 10 years, you get support on it. So I believe it's on the stable tracks. So if we have, I think it's MongoDB 6, right? The version that we're issuing. So MongoDB 6 is the stable track. You will get support on that for 10 years from today. So the support also covers break fix support. So not only security fixes, but also if there are bugs in MongoDB, our team will work with you to identify that and to issue you with a fix.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the things that we do believe in. It's very important, especially we operate in like, for example, enterprise grade or even, your small, medium enterprise that you run on MongoDB. It's just very important that you find someone that says you can be supported for 10 years. That gives so much, peace for you because sometimes softwares are not just really supported for that long. And to be able to get that assurance, I think it's very important.
Yeah, it means
Uh,
you can kind of set and forget. You can set it up and you can be assured that it can be operating for 10 years, which is great.
yes, definitely. And one thing that adds to the value that we are giving with Charm MongoDB is what we call the simple pricing per node. We do believe that we offer convenient subscription per node, and we lack those, license fees, so that you can run database or your MongoDB, and that you can have a control of your total cost as you operate this specific application. So in that way, it will be very straightforward for you and predictable for you as we just pay per node that you actually subscribe to. But one thing that I find really interesting with our offering, Rob, is that we just don't talk about MongoDB with this simple pricing per node. We actually talk about a whole portfolio of different data solutions, which you have been working on as well. Can you tell
That's
more of
right.
that?
Yeah, sure. So we have MongoDB, but we've also recently announced Kafka, so Apache Kafka as a solution that we offer as well. That's also GA, and also Spark, Apache Spark. So we have solutions for big data, for streaming event data, and now for NoSQL as well at scale. So yeah, it's exciting. There are more as well. So there are more coming. There'll be more announcements in the coming months. So watch this space.
Yeah, and I also wanted to complement that with other solutions, and for example, in AI and ML space like Charm Kubeflow, which we already have GA in the past, right? And also the very recent Charmed ML Flow as well. So
That's
these
right.
are
Yeah.
all like in this model of simple pricing per node, and I think it's a great win for enterprises to look at it in this way in terms of the financial planning. And here at Canonical, what we do is we do data advisory and Charm MongoDB training if you needed some support. We can also do proof of concept with you if that's what you needed. And then we do deployment services for your Charm MongoDB deployment, and we also do managed services. Rob, would you like to quickly share what managed service pertains to Canonical?
Sure. So we will help you to set up your database service, and we will also help you to operate that. So we'll provide an SLA, Yeah, we provide expertise around the clock to make sure that your service is up at all times. That's in a nutshell our managed service operations. They provide support with upgrades, with backup and restore, and so forth. So it's a fully managed service. It also covers things like patching of the infrastructure underneath as well if needed. Yeah, and we can provide that on your cloud or on your premise.
Thanks, Rob. So if you have any need or help on your modern data management, feel free to reach out to us with these really comprehensive offerings that we have. Again, we're very delighted to inform you with the launch of Charm MongoDB. We wanted to encourage you to try it out. I will paste the link of the GA release announcement that we have today. So it's a very exciting time for us, and we wanted to also discuss with you the open community for contribution. So we do believe that what we do at Canonical, Canonical is the publisher of Ubuntu, and we try to make sure that we say similar story across the products that we do, that we're open for contributions, we're open for comments, we're open for suggestions on how to make the product better, but at the same time you can use it for free. So please check out charmhub.io, and you can get an access to our operator, Charm MongoDB operator. You can join us in our forum and discourse, and you can also chat with the team by scanning this QR code, as you will meet the team behind this product. So feel free to reach out to us. And I think that ends our presentation. It was a very nice announcement. I'm very happy that you joined me today, Rob.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's been great. Thank you.
Yeah. And congratulations to us for our GA. And we look forward for any comments, suggestions, and also you joining the community to make this product better. Thank you so much, everyone.